Jacob Widman is currently the City of Lamar's Finance and HR Director. He has not only excelled in both job duties asked of him by the job description, but has willingly gone above and beyond when needed. He even took over on the title of duties of City Clerk when Bev Langle retired after 41 years of service. Since Jacob's hiring in 2019, he has had to grasp the nuances of city budgeting. Jacob was asked to do this in short time, and staff and council members have all been highly impressed with his abilities. Much, if not all, of the budget preparation falls on his shoulders, and he has shown that he is more than capable of bearing that weight. Jacob has also had to take over HR and insurance duties when he came to the city. Both areas were unfamiliar to him in the beginning. He has not only grasped them with confidence, but surprise, he has excelled. The City of Lamar's is fortunate to have this very smart and talented person on staff who always displays a nice and positive attitude towards fellow employees. Jacob is someone who does not complain of workloads, except maybe to his wife Amber, but we have not heard any complaints from him here. He is very pleasant to work with and is friendly, kind, and generous. Jacob has become a significant member of the administrative team in the City of Lamar's. For these reasons, we have chosen to salute Jacob Widman with the Lamar's Area Chamber of Commerce March Employee of the Month. Congratulations, Jacob.
I guess you're kind of putting me on the spot here, but I do enjoy working here. I enjoy the team that I work with, the council, and everybody here in City Hall, the department heads. We really have a good city, and I like to kind of stay in the background, but I really appreciate your recognition. Thank you.
We need this on the website by 2 o'clock.
I guess the city council meeting wouldn't be that interesting.
Thank you.
You bet. Congratulations.
Well deserved.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to call the regular city council meeting to order for Tuesday, March 1st, 2022. I'll start off with roll call.
Goodchild.
Yes.
Donlin.
Yes.
Wick.
Yes.
Sturgeon.
Here.
Bruns.
Yep.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Yep. Motion to approve the agenda. Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We'll start with citizens discussion. Do we have any citizens that would like to approach the mic? Chief Shipper.
Afternoon, Mayor, Council. Just real quick, we implemented a burn ban for Plymouth County today, started at, well, right now. So I just want the citizens, council, and everybody to recall that we have no open burning ever in Lamar's. We don't burn leaves, we don't burn anything else. However, I want to make sure people realize that the burn ban does not affect your residential fire pits or your household grills. You can still do those things. We have separate city ordinances and things for residential fire pits and things like that. So every year we have a burn ban. It seems like people start calling, can I still have my outside little fire pit, sit around and have my soda and stuff, and that's fine. So I just want to make sure people are aware of that. Thank you.
As long as it's soda, right?
Well, I don't care. Unless you're inviting me over, then we'll do it.
That sounds boring. Anybody else?
Thank you.
Thumbs up award. We'll start on our
Pass.
Thumbs up, Jacob. Yeah, you stole my thunder. I would say the same thing, Jacob. You've been, you're a true blessing to this city, and I mean that. I lean on you heavily for a lot of things, and really, your magic in the numbers works really well, so appreciate that.
I concur, Jacob. You've been a great asset in bringing me up to speed. Not that I'm anywhere up to speed yet, but getting there with your assistance. So I appreciate that. And I also want to give a thumbs up award to a couple council members that sat through a 4-hour wastewater meeting. So Mr. Don Lennon, good job. So thumbs up. Good job.
Thumbs up to Jacob. Well done.
Said it before, I'll say it again. What you do, I can't imagine anyone else doing it, so good job.
Okay, I withdraw my passing. Jan, what do you think?
It was well deserved.
All right.
Move on to the consent items. Under the consent items, we have approval of the February 15th, 2022 regular meeting minutes, a list of bills for period ending 2/25/22, new liquor license for K&E Holding Company LLC, DBA Dusty Lady, new 5-day liquor license for Bachers, and the community Easter egg hunt, which does not need a liquor license, I don't think. Maybe. Pending? Anybody want to pull any of those out or wish to make a motion to approve those?
Make a motion to approve consent items 1 through 4. Yes.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to the action items. First off, we've got the fiscal year ending 2021 annual financial report. So the council received a copy of the annual report for 2021. Representative from Williams & Company will be at the meeting to discuss, and there we are, right, as we speak, so.
All right, good afternoon. Chad with Williams & Company. We were engaged to audit the financial statements for fiscal year 2021. Just kind of go over the report, and then if you guys have any questions afterward, we can go through those. Starting on page 3 is the independent auditor's report, or opinion. The auditor's responsibility paragraph, halfway in that, we state that we conducted our audit in accordance with auditing standards generally accepted in the United States of America and the standards applicable to the financial audits contained in the government auditing standards issued by the Comptroller General of the United States. So those are the standards that we have to follow, that there's a little bit more to it than just the normal for-profit auditing standards, governmental auditing standards. There's more requirements and more work that we have to do. Page 4, the opinion paragraph, we say that in our opinion, based on our audit and the report of other auditors, that's the hospital's report because they're considered a component unit. The financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects. So that is the clean, unmodified opinion that you guys always want to receive, and you did receive the clean opinion again this year. Page 6 is the management discussion analysis. Basically, this is a good few pages of comparative information between FY20 and 21. That if you really don't have a whole lot of time to flip through the report, you can flip through this section and kind of gauge where you were last year compared to this year. Page 15 is the government-wide statement of net position, essentially the balance sheet for the city on the full accrual basis. That you can't really have management decisions from this statement, but it does show what the city owns and what the city owes. And so if you can take this and kind of use it to compare other cities, the size of City of Lamar's, and compare one another. Page 16 and 17 is the statement of activities, which again is the full accrual income statement. Again, you really can't make much for management decisions on that statement. Starting on page 18 is the governmental fund financial statements, that every fund of the city is somewhere in this report. The larger ones are shown on this page and the following page. Smaller funds are in the back. Page 20 is the income statement. And so one thing that we always take a look at is the general fund unassigned fund balance and how many days of unassigned fund balance are divided into the city's expenses. And this year it was 187 days, up from 134 days from last year. And so what that means is that the city, the general fund could operate for 187 days after June 30 without needing any additional revenues, and you had enough in fund balance to fund the city. So that's a healthy fund balance there. Typically we at a minimum like to see anywhere between 90 to 120 days, and so at 187 days, that's a healthy fund balance. Page 22 is starting with the utility balance sheet. Then page 24 and 25 is the income statement for utility funds. 26 through 29 is the cash flow statements. Page 30 and 31 is the financial statements for the custodial fund. That'd be the employee flex cafeteria plan fund. There was one change this year, and that the city implemented GASB 84, which basically added page 31, that now the custodial funds look more like a true income statement. If you were to look at last year's report, there was no income statement. That in the back of the report, there was just an addition and a reduction, and then a statement. And then the net position, there was no net position. Now there truly is, because they changed, the government standards changed on how that had to be reported. Page 32, or you can start the notes to the financial statements. So a lot of good detail there. If you want to kind of dig deeper into any of the numbers. One thing I want to point out is on page 70, the very last note is the prospective accounting change. And so for FY22, there's going to be another new standard that'll be implemented, GASB 87, and this is dealing with leases. And so this is somewhat of a larger standard that we're actually going to be even purchasing some software to help implement the standard and help our clients implement it. So there's going to be more additional looking into the leases that we'll have to do for FY22, and that includes leases that you're either leasing out, or that you're copiers is another example, that you're basically having the lease purchase, or if somebody's leasing from the city, it'll be going both ways. So that's just a one thing that we'll have to work through in FY22, but that is another somewhat of a larger standard that we're going to have to be implementing this year.
Is there anything we as a city need to be doing for that change?
Basically just have a good list of all the leases that the city has.
Even Jacob.
So.
Yeah.
Now you know why you got that award.
I know when I first started 10 plus years ago, I think they were at probably GASB 50 or so, and 2004 was when GASB 34 was implemented, which was the big standard that was full accrual. So they went from 2004 to 2010, going from having 20 standards, and then from 2010 to now, and all the way up to at least 87. I think they're in the 90s for some of them. So it's just constantly issuing new standards. And
Who is it that issues these statements?
The standards, the Governmental Accounting Standards Board. So for-profit is FASB. government is GASB, so.
So who and where are they?
I think out east, the actual head of the GASB is the old Iowa state auditor, Bout, something like that is his name, but he's the head of it, is the old, probably the three state auditors ago is.
But it's a federal entity?
It's a nonprofit but they've been given the power to issue the standards. I think the federal entity is technically the SEC, but because they could take control of it if they want to, but they don't want to, and so they said GASB go ahead and do all the standards for all the governments. So yep, and FASB is doing the same thing. The for-profit side is doing the same thing with leases as well. So leases will be looking quite different going forward.
In what way?
So essentially,
I mean, I'm thinking, sitting here, I'm thinking we lease some equipment to own.
Mhm.
That's typical.
Yep.
I don't know about copiers, I'm assuming maybe we do, but then we have farm ground that we lease out.
Yes. So
You said both sides, so I'm kind of curious, what effects do you look for?
Yep, so now the leases that you lease out, so farm ground, if people are paying you rent, now that's actually gonna be put on the books as an asset, saying it's a lease for use. And then on the copier side, that's also going on the balance sheet as well. I might have said that backwards, but we're still kind of working through it, but essentially, these leases are gonna be actually going on the balance sheet as a right to use asset, essentially, like a copier, you have the right, by signing that contract, you have the right to use that copier, and so then that is gonna be going onto the balance sheet.
Prior, they were just either an income or an expense, not.
Yeah, the equipment leased out, so capital leases aren't gonna change, because we already had that, but all these operating leases, that's gonna change. So before, like I said, copiers, you would just record that as a rent expense, essentially. Now, since you have the right to use it, it's gonna go on the balance sheet. And so, like I said, I know that we set up a few people in our firm to be working through it. But yeah, it's again probably the largest one since the diaper statement came out in 2015 that we'll have to implement. Page 71 and 72 is the budget to actual schedule. If you see on 72 that the city did not go over budget in any areas, so that's very good to see. Kind of skip a few pages. Starting on page 84 is the non-major fund financial statement. So where all these funds were grouped into one column earlier in the report, these are now all shown individually. Then page 83 is page 94 is the non-major utility funds, so the solid waste and storm sewer, they were shown as one column. You got the income statement and the cash flow statement for those two funds as well. Page 97 is just a couple of statistical tables. At the bottom is the legal debt margin. The city had 82% debt margin available, but then about 8.2 million of that was the sewer bonds, and so essentially you almost have very little debt that's applicable to the legal debt margin. And then I know the city does have some SRF bonds, but essentially after FY22, actual bonds, there's really not going to be a whole lot out there for bond payable. So the city's sitting very well for a debt limit. With their debt limit.
Did you say less than 10%?
What's that?
About 10%.
10%,
I mean, we're at 90% of our borrowing capacity. I mean, we are at 10% of our borrowing capacity. We have 90 available.
I said, I think you have about 82 available.
Yeah, but then you took off.
Oh, then, then if you take out the 8.2, then you essentially almost have all of it, essentially.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Because then if you see the second to last number is 8.3 million, because the funds that are available in the debt service fund eats into that as well, or, goes towards it. And so there was $500,000 sitting in the debt service fund. And so then you got 8.3 that's applicable to the debt limit. And so if you take 8.3 minus 8.2, then you got 100 grand divided by 45 million. So, page 99 is just in our report on internal controls, that we don't issue an opinion on internal controls, but we have to gain an understanding of the internal controls. And then page 100 and 102 is the schedule of findings. So I think that's about all that I got. That this year we did not have a single audit. I know the city has not had a single audit in quite a few years, I think 2012, but with, I know that there's like an airport grant and then the ARPA money, and depending on what city council decides to do with that, there potentially could be single audit coming down the line either next year or the year after that. That's just something that we'll have to look for. There's been a lot of federal funds that have come down the pipeline in the last year, so.
Yeah, to that point, we've been pretty close to the limit of the last 2 years of having to have a single audit. Depending on the timing of things, we probably will for fiscal year 22.
So, otherwise, I think that's about all that I got. Are there any questions?
Do you have any concerns?
No, I don't have any
I
concerns.
mean, you don't have any in here, right? And that's fine.
No, that, we have the journal entry finding, just like we always do, and we've talked about that in the past, that you have one journal